The moment my daughter Rebecca wrinkled her nose and said my car smelled like a McDonald's dumpster, something inside me finally snapped. We were standing in the kitchen of the house I'd paid off 12 years ago. Morning sunlight was streaming through the blinds, hitting the old oak table where I'd just set down a paper bag with 2 sausage biscuits and a cup of lukewarm coffee I hadn't finished during my last DoorDash run. My name's Roger Matthews. I'm 66 years old, and I've been delivering food since my wife passed 8 years ago. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to keep food on the table for my 2 adult kids who were still living in my house like they were teenagers. Rebecca leaned against the counter, arms folded, looking at me like I'd tracked dog mess across her white carpet. "Dad, seriously," she said, waving her hand in front of her face. "Your car reeks. French fries, grease, burgers. It's embarrassing. I hate when my friends have to get in there." For a second, I just stood, there holding my keys. 66 years old, up since 5 in the morning, delivering pancakes and breakfast burritos across half the county while my grown children slept like royalty upstairs. And she was embarrassed by the smell of honest work. "Your friends?" I said slowly. Rebecca rolled her eyes and reached for the refrigerator. "Yeah, normal people don't want to ride around in a car that smells like a drive-thru." Upstairs, a floorboard creaked. That meant Dale was finally waking up. It was already almost 11 a.m. My 28-year-old son shuffled down the stairs a minute later, wearing the same gray sweatpants he'd had on for 3 days straight. His hair looked like he'd been wrestling with his pillow and lost. "Morning," he mumbled, opening the cabinet and grabbing a bowl. "Morning," Rebecca said with a laugh. "Dad's been out working since sunrise." Dale poured cereal and shrugged. "He likes driving around." Likes. That word hit me harder than the rest. I set my keys on the counter and took off my jacket. The kitchen smelled faintly of maple syrup and cold coffee. There was also a trace of something sweeter, a cinnamon roll I'd bought from a little bakery downtown during a delivery. I'd planned to eat it later, but instead, I just stood there watching my 2 adult children move around my kitchen like they owned every square inch of it. Dale sat at the table, scrolling on his phone while chewing cereal loud enough to wake the neighbors. Rebecca grabbed a bottle of almond milk and poured it into a glass, glancing at me again. "You know," she said casually, "if you're going to keep doing that food delivery thing, you should at least get the car detailed or something. It's kind of depressing." Depressing, that was the word she chose. Not hardworking, not responsible, not necessary. Depressing. I looked at the sink full of dishes neither of them had bothered to wash the night before. A pan still had dried tomato sauce stuck to the bottom, like cement. Someone had left a spoon standing, upright in a bowl of oatmeal that had hardened into something resembling concrete. The Wi-Fi bill was on the counter under a magnet shaped like a pineapple. I paid that bill, along with the electric, groceries, insurance, and property taxes. Every single thing in this house ran through my wallet, and yet, somehow, I was the embarrassing one. Dale glanced up from his phone. "Hey, Dad, did you grab more eggs while you were out?" I let out a quiet breath. "No." Rebecca sighed dramatically. "Great. I was going to make shakshuka later. I almost laughed at that. Shakshuka in my kitchen with eggs I would have paid for. For years, I'd told myself they were just getting back on their feet. Jobs fell through, rent got expensive, the economy changed. Little excuses stacked one on top of another, like dirty dishes in that sink. But standing there with the smell of coffee and cold hash browns still clinging to my jacket, I realized something uncomfortable. They weren't struggling. They were comfortable, because I made it comfortable. Rebecca took a sip of her almond milk and wrinkled her nose again. "And seriously," she added, "you should do something about that car. It smells like a McDonald's parking lot." I picked up the paper bag from the table and folded the top neatly. Then I walked to the trash can and dropped it inside. Neither of them noticed. Dale was watching some video on his phone. Rebecca was texting someone. For a long moment, I just stood there listening to the quiet hum of the refrigerator. 66 years old, still working, still paying, still being talked to, like a burden in my own house. That was the moment the idea first slipped into my mind. Not loud, not dramatic, just a simple thought. What would happen if this house stopped being theirs? If you'd walked through my house around noon most days, you might have thought you'd stepped into some strange retirement home where the young people were the ones being cared for. By 11:30, the blinds were usually still half closed upstairs. The hallway smelled faintly of body spray and microwave popcorn. Somewhere, a phone alarm would buzz for 10 minutes before someone finally slapped it silent. Meanwhile, I'd already delivered 3 breakfasts, 1 oat milk latte, and a paper bag full of bacon croissants to a law office downtown. My morning started at 5 a.m. I kept a small thermos in the car and a wool blanket folded behind the passenger seat for winter mornings. My Buick wasn't fancy, but it ran steady. The seats held the faint perfume of 1,000 deliveries. Fries, garlic knots, cinnamon rolls, once even a container of pho that leaked star anise broth into the floor mat. Rebecca said the smell embarrassed her, but that smell paid the electric bill. I hung my jacket on the back of a chair and started filling the sink with hot water. The dishes from last night clinked together as I stacked them. Someone had tried to rinse the pasta pot, but left a red ring of sauce hardened along the rim. From the table, Dale spoke without looking up from his phone. "So, no eggs?" "No eggs," I said. He sighed like a disappointed prince. "Guess I'll just order something." Of course he would. Rebecca was scrolling through something on her tablet now, legs crossed on the couch like she was in a cafe instead of her father's living room. "You should try that Thai place on Maple," she told him. "Their pad cow is amazing." Dale nodded. "Yeah, but it's like $20. They both glanced toward me at the same time. It wasn't even subtle anymore. For years, I used to jump in right there. I'd say something like, "Don't worry, I'll grab groceries later," or "I'll cover it this time." Today, I kept scrubbing the pan. The water smelled faintly of lemon soap. Outside, a delivery truck rolled past the house with that low diesel rumble that vibrates through the floorboards. Rebecca noticed my silence. "Dad," she said, "did you hear me? I heard you." "Well, what?" She frowned like I was the one being strange. "Are you going shopping later?" I rinsed the plate slowly. "Probably not." Dale leaned back in his chair. "Why not?" I shrugged. Didn't feel like it. That answer seemed to confuse both of them, more than if I'd yelled. Rebecca stood and walked toward the fridge again. She opened it, stared inside for a few seconds, then shut it with a small, irritated push. "There's nothing here," she said. That wasn't exactly true. There was yogurt, half a jar of apricot preserves, some cheddar, a bundle of scallions, and leftover lentil soup I'd made 2 nights ago in my old cast-iron Dutch oven. But none of it counted to them. Dale glanced at the fridge like it had personally offended him. "You used to keep it stocked. Used to." I dried my hands on a towel and leaned against the counter. Funny thing about words, sometimes they don't sting until you hear them out loud. Used to. They were right. I used to keep it stocked. I used to cook dinners that took 2 hours. I used to leave little containers of things in the fridge, roasted carrots with honey, lemon chicken, once even a ridiculous saffron rice dish I'd learned from a cookbook after a delivery to a Persian restaurant. Back when I still believed gratitude was coming, eventually. Rebecca sat back down with a huff. "You know," she said, "it would just be easier if you slowed down with all that delivery stuff and focused on the house again." Focused on the house. The house that had been mine since 1994. The house whose mortgage I'd finished paying the year Dale turned 25. I looked around the kitchen slowly. The oak cabinets were a little worn at the handles now. The floor had a small crack near the dishwasher tile where Dale had dropped a toolbox years ago. The house had held birthdays, Christmas mornings, my wife's quiet laugh when she used to sneak extra sugar into her coffee. And lately, it had been holding 2 adults who treated it like a free hotel. Dale suddenly spoke again. "Actually, Dad," he said, still staring at his phone, "I might need to borrow the car later." I blinked once. "My car?" "Yeah, just for a bit." Rebecca perked up. "Oh, good idea," she said. "Just air it out first." That was when I realized something that felt both heavy and strangely freeing. Neither of them had asked how my morning went. Neither had asked if I was tired. Neither had asked if I needed help. The only thing they'd noticed about my work was the smell. I walked over to the window and looked out at the driveway. My old Buick sat under the maple tree, sunlight reflecting off the windshield. That car had taken me through rainstorms, snow, and one terrifying delivery during a thunderstorm that rattled the steering wheel. It had carried hundreds of meals. It had carried my independence. And suddenly, standing there in my own kitchen, another quiet thought formed beside the one from earlier. If the house disappeared, they'd have nowhere to sleep until noon. I watched a breeze move through the maple leaves outside. Then I said something. that made Dale finally look up. "No," I told him calmly. "You can't borrow the car." He frowned. "Why not?" I turned from the window, because I said I might need it, and for the first time in a long while, that was actually true. 2 days after the car smells like fast food comment, the real humiliation arrived. Not louder, just sharper. It was a Saturday, which meant the neighborhood was busy. Lawns getting mowed, dogs barking behind fences, someone grilling too early in the afternoon, so the smell of charcoal floated through the street like a lazy cloud. I'd just finished a delivery, 3 Vietnamese sandwiches and a little box of green tea cake from a cafe downtown. The smell of cilantro and pickled carrots still lingered in the car when I pulled into the driveway. My hands ached the way they sometimes do after a long morning of driving. Nothing dramatic, just that quiet stiffness you earn after 66 years of using them. I grabbed my delivery bag and walked toward the house. The front door was open. That alone was unusual. Inside, I could hear voices. Rebecca's voice, bright and performative, the way it gets when she's talking to people she wants to impress. And another voice I didn't recognize. I stepped into the hallway. "I swear," Rebecca was saying with a little laugh, "my dad just refuses to slow down." I paused by the doorway to the living room. There was a woman sitting on the couch, tall, polished, maybe early 40s, wearing a cream blazer and holding a glossy folder, a realtor's folder. Rebecca spotted me first. "Oh," she said lightly, "there he is." The woman turned and smiled politely. "Hello," she said. "You must be Roger." For a moment, my brain took a second to catch up. "Yes," I said slowly. Rebecca stood up and gestured vaguely toward the woman, like she was introducing a neighbor who'd come to borrow sugar. "This is Nancy," she said. "She's just showing me some options." Options. The word hung in the air. Nancy extended her hand. "I work with a local brokerage," she said warmly. "Your daughter mentioned she might be looking at places nearby in the next year or two." Next year or two? That sounded suspiciously like a story Rebecca had rehearsed. "Oh," I said. Rebecca gave me that tight little smile she uses when she's pretending everything is normal. "Yeah," she said quickly, "just exploring possibilities." I set my delivery bag down slowly on the entry table. Inside the bag were 2 things: a folded DoorDash receipt and a small paper box holding a lemon tart the cafe owner had slipped in as a thank you for always being polite. Suddenly, I felt very tired. Nancy opened the folder and spread out a few glossy photos on the coffee table. Townhouses, new builds, open kitchens with white marble islands that probably stained the first time someone spilled wine. Rebecca pointed at one. "That one's nice," she said. Nancy nodded. "It's in a gated community. Quiet area, a lot of young professionals. Young professionals." Dale wandered into the room, at that moment scratching the back of his head. "What's going on?" Rebecca gestured at the photos. "Just looking at houses." Dale leaned over the table. "Wow," he said. "Those look expensive." Nancy smiled politely again. "Well, it depends on the financing." Rebecca waved her hand casually. "Oh, we'd figure it out." "We." That word landed in the room like a dropped glass. I watched my daughter lean over those photos as if she were already living in them, already arranging furniture, already inviting friends over, and not once did she glance in my direction to ask the obvious question: how exactly do you plan to afford that? Nancy finally turned to me again. "Your daughter says you've been here quite a while," she said kindly. "Since 1994, I replied. Her eyebrows lifted slightly. "That's wonderful," Rebecca laughed. "Yeah, Dad's basically glued to this place." Glued, like I was some old piece of furniture no one had gotten around to throwing away yet. Dale flipped one of the photos over. "Wait," he said. "How much is this one?" Nancy mentioned a number. Dale whistled. Rebecca didn't flinch. Instead, she said something that made the air in the room change temperature. "Well," she said, glancing at me briefly, "eventually we'll have the equity from this house anyway." Eventually. Equity? This house. It was such a casual sentence, so smooth, as if my life had already been converted into their future down payment. I looked at the photographs again. Bright kitchens, clean walls, empty rooms waiting for someone else's story, and suddenly something inside my chest settled into place. Not anger, not even sadness, just clarity. Nancy gathered the photos neatly. "Well," she said, I should probably get going. Rebecca, I'll email you the listings." Rebecca walked her to the door, chatting brightly. Dale went back to the kitchen to look for something else to eat. I stayed where I was. When the front door finally closed again, Rebecca turned back toward the living room. She saw me standing there. "What?" she said. I picked up the little lemon tart box from my delivery bag. Then I asked the question very calmly. "Rebecca," I said, "when exactly were you planning to buy a house?" She rolled her eyes. "Relax, Dad. It's not like we're moving tomorrow." I nodded slowly. "No, not tomorrow," but suddenly 4 days felt like a very interesting number. After Nancy left, the house went back to its usual rhythm, which is to say, none at all. Rebecca disappeared upstairs with her laptop, probably already imagining where she'd put a couch in those glossy townhouse photos. Dale hovered around the kitchen like a confused raccoon, opening cabinets and closing them again, as if food might magically appear if he checked the same shelf 5 times. I took my lemon tart to the back porch. The porch had always been my quiet place. I'd built the little cedar bench out there myself, sometime in the late 90s. The wood had faded into a soft gray over the years, and the armrest still had a small burn mark from the time I'd dropped a cigar during a thunderstorm. I sat down and opened the pastry box. The tart was delicate, thin crust, pale yellow filling, a dusting of powdered sugar. The cafe owner had slipped it into my delivery bag earlier that morning and winked. "For the nicest driver we have," he'd said. Funny how strangers sometimes treat you better than family. I took a small bite, bright lemon, just enough sweetness. Inside the house, I could hear Rebecca's footsteps overhead and Dale dragging a chair across the kitchen tile. For a long time, I'd told myself this was temporary. That's the story parents tell themselves when adult children come home, just until they get stable again. But stability had quietly passed them by years ago. What they had now was something else entirely: comfort. And comfort, when it lasts long enough, hardens into entitlement. A breeze moved through the maple tree above the porch. A few early autumn leaves scraped softly across the deck boards. I looked out at the yard. I'd planted that maple the same year Dale started kindergarten. It was barely taller than him back then. Now the branches stretched wide enough to shade half the driveway. 30 years to grow trees, 30 years to pay mortgages, 30 years to build a house, and apparently 30 years to teach your children to believe it all belongs to them. I finished the tart and brushed the powdered sugar from my hands. Then I went inside. Dale was standing in front of the open refrigerator again. "You sure we don't have eggs?" he asked without turning around. "I'm sure." Rebecca called down from upstairs. "Dad, did you move my charger?" "No." A few seconds later, her bedroom door slammed. I walked to the hallway closet and pulled down an old plastic storage bin from the top shelf. Inside were folders, dull manila ones I hadn't opened in years, mortgage documents, tax records, insurance policies. The quiet paperwork of a life. I carried the bin to the dining table and sat down. Dale glanced at the stack. "What's all that?" "Old house papers," I said. He nodded vaguely and went back to his phone. That was the thing about my children. They were curious about food, money, Wi-Fi passwords, but not about anything that actually built the life around them. I opened the first folder. The mortgage statement from the final payment was still there, paid in full. The date printed across the top made me smile a little. I remembered that day clearly. Your shoulders feel different when the bank no longer owns the roof over your head. I flipped to the deed, Roger Matthews. Only my name. My wife had insisted on that years before she passed. "Just in case," she'd said quietly one evening while we were sorting paperwork. I hadn't understood then how wise that was. Upstairs, Rebecca's voice floated down the hallway. "Dale, do we still have that almond granola?" "No idea." I turned another page. Property tax records, utility bills, insurance renewals, all of it. Flowing through the same account I'd been feeding with DoorDash deliveries, small savings, and stubborn discipline. For a moment, I just sat there staring at the papers. Then I reached for my phone. The number I needed wasn't saved under anything obvious. It had been written years ago on the back of an envelope tucked into the folder. I typed it in carefully. The phone rang twice. Then a warm, professional voice answered. "Miller Realty." "This is Diane speaking." I took a breath. "Hello," I said. "My name is Roger Matthews." A small pause. "How can I help you today, Mr. Matthews?" In the kitchen, Dale laughed at something on his phone. Upstairs, Rebecca's music started playing, something loud and synthetic that vibrated faintly through the ceiling. I looked at the deed in front of me. "My house," I said calmly, "is paid off." Another small pause. "Well," Diane replied, a hint of interest entering her voice. "That's always a good starting point." I allowed myself the smallest smile. "Yes," I said. "I imagine it is." Then I asked the question that would quietly change everything in that house. If someone wanted to sell fairly quickly, I said, how fast could that happen? There was a soft shuffle of papers on the other end of the line. "Well," Diane said thoughtfully, "in this market, sometime 6 days." I looked toward the staircase where Rebecca's music was still thumping. 6 days. The number settled into my mind like a coin dropping into a jar. "Mr. Matthews?" Diane asked. "Yes," I said. My voice sounded steady. "Would you like me to come take a look at the property?" I glanced around the kitchen one more time. The sink was finally empty. The pineapple magnet still held the Wi-Fi bill to the fridge. And upstairs, my adult children were living their peaceful, consequence-free afternoon. "Yes," I told her. "I think that would be a very good idea." Diane Miller arrived 2 days later at exactly 9 in the morning. That alone already put her ahead of most people in my life. She was in her late 50s, neat navy blazer, short blonde hair, the kind of calm confidence you see in people who've been walking through other people's houses for 20 years. I met her on the front porch. Inside the house, things were still quiet. Dale and Rebecca rarely woke before 10, unless someone forced the issue, and I hadn't forced anything that morning. "Perfect," Diane said softly when she stepped into the living room. "We can walk through without interruptions." She moved slowly through the house, observing things. Walls, light, floor lines. She stopped by the kitchen window. "Good natural light," she murmured. I leaned against the counter. "The cabinets are older," I said. "Older cells," she replied calmly. "People call it character now." When we reached the staircase, she lowered her voice slightly. "Anyone else living here?" "My adult children," I said. "Do they know you're selling?" "No." Diane paused for exactly half a second. Then she nodded once. "I understand." We walked back downstairs. As we reached the kitchen, Dale shuffled in, wearing a wrinkled t-shirt and blinking at the sunlight like a cave animal emerging into the world. He looked at Diane, then at me. Who's this?" Diane smiled politely. "Good morning." Dale looked confused. I poured myself a cup of coffee before answering. "This is Diane Miller," I said calmly. "She's a realtor." Dale scratched his head. "A realtor?" "Mm-hmm." He looked from me to Diane again. "For what?" Diane glanced at me, giving me the choice. I took a slow sip of coffee. Then I said the sentence as evenly as possible. "She's here to help me sell the house." The silence that followed could have been bottled. Dale blinked twice. "Wait," he said. "What?" Upstairs, Rebecca's music stopped suddenly, which meant she'd probably heard every word through the floorboards. Diane closed her tablet with quiet professionalism. "Well," she said gently, "I'd say this house will photograph beautifully." Dale stared at me like I'd just spoken another language. "Dad, what are you talking about?" I set my coffee cup down, and for the first time since that conversation in the kitchen, I felt completely calm. "Don't worry," I said. "You'll have plenty of notice." The listing went live 3 days later. The house sold in 6 days. Not 4, but close enough. 3 offers came in by Thursday. The highest was $28,000 over asking price, with a 30-day close and almost no conditions. When Diane called to tell me, I was sitting in my car outside a pizza place waiting for an order. "Roger," she said, "congratulations. You're officially under contract." I looked out at the street where normal people were going about their normal Thursday evening. "Thank you," I said. When I got home, Dale was sitting at the kitchen table with a stack of rental applications spread in front of him. Rebecca was on the phone in the living room, her voice tight and urgent. "Yeah, I know it's short notice," she was saying, "but we really need something by next month." Dale looked up when I walked in. "It's sold," he said. "Not a question. Yes." He nodded slowly and went back to filling out paperwork. For the first time since this started, my son was actually doing something responsible. "Good apartment?" I asked, nodding toward the applications. "Decent," he said. 2-bedroom, about 15 minutes from here. Rebecca and I are going to split it. That's smart." He looked at me carefully. You really did it. Yes. Dale was quiet for a minute. Then he said something that surprised me. I get it now. Why you did this. We were pretty awful. I sat down across from him. You weren't awful. You were comfortable. Same thing, kind of. 30 days later, I handed over the keys to a young couple named Keith and Janet. They had a baby on the way and looked at my house the way I'd looked at it back in 1994, like it was the beginning of everything good. Rebecca and Dale had moved into their apartment 3 days earlier. Rebecca barely spoke to me during the move, but Dale helped me load my few boxes. Into the Buick. You sure about the apartment by the river? He asked. I'm sure. And it was perfect. 1 bedroom, clean, quiet, with a little balcony overlooking the water. No one living there except me. No one expecting meals or bill payments or endless patience. My first morning there, I woke up at 7 a.m. instead of 5. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I made coffee, sat on the balcony, and watched the river move slowly past. My phone buzzed. A DoorDash request. Good money, easy delivery. I looked at the phone, then at the river, then back at the phone. For the first time in 8 years, I declined the order. I had enough money now. The house sale had taken care of that. What I didn't have before, and finally had now, was time. Time to sit on my balcony and drink coffee without anyone complaining about the smell of honest work. Time to decide what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. At 66 years old, I'd finally gotten my house back. Turns out it was never about the building at all. It was about the peace that comes when people treat you with the respect you deserve. And if they can't do that, sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away, even if it takes selling everything to make your point. Sometimes the people who love you most will respect you least, until you show them the cost of taking you for granted. Real freedom isn't about having everything you want. It's about walking away from everything that doesn't value what you give.